Hustlers is Jennifer Lopez's grittiest role yet. Jennifer Lopez, Constance Wu from Fresh Off the Boat and Crazy Rich Asians, Keke Palmer, and Lili Reinhart from Riverdale. Now, we've never seen the actresses quite like this. They essentially bear it all, literally. They play strippers in a movie that's based on a New York Magazine article by Jessica Pressler, who documented what happened when these strippers were drugging men and taking their money, essentially cashing out their credit cards. And this happened near the Wall Street crash, 2008, and I will tell you why they did that. Constance Wu and Jennifer Lopez play strippers in New York. And Jennifer Lopez has got it really good. She's making some good money. She's got a nice apartment. And Constance Wu is struggling. She doesn't have the appeal that the other women have as far as them feeling comfortable with their bodies and showing it about and stripper pole. So she feels a little bit out of place, and she's new to the place. She had transferred from another strip club, and Jennifer Lopez takes her under her wing. And the reason she does so, though, is not out of the kindness of her heart. She sees that this woman, her name is Destiny, strippery name. Jennifer Lopez's character is named Ramona. So she tells her, hey, you got it going because, one, you're Asian, and the men love the Asian and the whole S&M stereotype. And she's beautiful. So she takes her under her wing, but Ramona's deal is she knows that she can score big with a partner like Destiny, because guys will definitely go for that. So, of course, they team up. They make loads of money at the strip club, private dances to the clients, who are mostly Wall Street. And we have Ramona, who explains how this life sort of works. Actually, this could be a companion piece to Wolf of Wall Street. You have the other spectrum where you see what happens to these women who are being paid off by these guys to pretty much do what the hell they want. So Ramona explains a lot of the behavior of the clientele. So that's why she explains to her that she's the perfect partner. They can go in as a team, and the clientele will spend loads of money on them, and which they do. So you see a lot of girl action. Like I said earlier, you've never seen J-Lo quite like this, or Constance Wu. So it's something different, I think, for them. And I can see how Jennifer Lopez probably wanted to do something very gritty. That's very different from her, girl next door, sort of romantic comedy type of roles. So I can see why she wanted to take a role that's not a lead, because, like I mentioned, Constance Wu's Destiny is a lead in this movie. So essentially what happens is they're making tons of money off the Wall Street guys, and then the Wall Street of 2008 happens. And essentially the strip clubs go empty because everyone is not spending the money that they were spending. And so now Destiny and Ramona are left out in the cold. Ramona takes on a retail job, and of course the boss is a jerk, just like the bosses at the strip club are jerks. And now Destiny is in real desperate need. She hooked up with a guy that had a kid, but the guy, of course, turns out to be a loser. And so she's raising this child on her own. So now she's feeling really desperate. So she approaches Ramona. They had lost touch after the crash. And so she approaches her in desperation, like, what can we do? What are we going to do? And they come up with this scheme where they're going to drug men and steal the cash from their credit card. Now, she goes along with this readily because, of course, she's in desperate mode. So she doesn't have a conscience about it, way or another. And as Ramona explains, why should they? Wall Street screwed everybody, so now it's their turn. So now they got to find these men who are still willing to spend money. So they do, they make phone calls, and they use the strip club as a place to take them to once they're drugged and cash out on their credit card. The movie also stars Cardi B, and ironically, she was a stripper in real life, and she admitted to drugging men and stealing their money. So it's a little ironic that she's in this movie. And let's just say her performance is not a big stretch, so it's not like she's making, well, I guess she's making her acting debut, but it wasn't much of a stretch because she plays a stripper. She's not part of the crew who steal and drug men for money, but it was kind of ironic to see her in this movie. There's a lot of issues with the movie, namely that you don't feel an emotional connection to these people or very sympathetic. They don't talk about the backstory. You don't know what in their lives led them to become strippers. I mean, nobody grows up thinking, I want to be a stripper. People strip because they're desperate. They have no other options. So what is the backstory to these people? I mean, you don't really get it until maybe the third act where you start to find out more about these people. But you just don't feel you don't feel sympathy for these characters. And I'm going the wrong way. So that's a lot of the problem with it. In addition to that, director Lorene Scarafia, her point of view was from a male gaze, which I found very surprising because I thought, oh, okay, I wasn't too excited about the subject matter, and I thought, oh, okay, it's directed by women. Jennifer Lopez is producing this under her banner. So, you thought, okay, well, there might be some substance to this. Like I said, it's based on a New York Magazine article by Jessica Pressler. And they throw in a reporter in the second act, played by Julia Stiles. And where does she come from? Did I nod off somewhere in the beginning? Usually you have to set up characters in the beginning so that they don't come out of nowhere. But this character played by Julia Stiles comes out of nowhere and is talking to Destiny about the past. They had been convicted, or they had been caught and jailed for what they were doing. And so now you have her talking about her future with short hair, talking about they resume some of the events where we left off before we met the reporter. So it was a little disconcerting, and it kind of threw me out of the movie, and it left me shaking my head like, did I just fall asleep somewhere? What is presented is that, sure, the guys at the clubs are jerks, the guys running the strip clubs are jerks, but that the women essentially have this family bond and that they're happy to be there. But the point is, there's no real backstory to these characters. Why is Jennifer Lopez's Ramona in this business? How did she get in this business? What in her past history led her here? And the two other characters, Keke Palmer and Lili Reinhart, we don't know much about them. All these people are presented as they're happy-go-lucky people. I didn't find much substance to that. I mean, sure, some people might enjoy it, but you need to show the range of who you're dealing with at these clubs. They're just presented as, hey, we're one big happy family, and Jennifer Lopez is going to take this new girl under her wing. But in essence, they're all competition. So I wish they would have showed some real conflict in that, because that's a real situation where you're in the business of men choosing women. But the fact that they win it as a team, sure, that's an advantage. But another conflict that could have arisen is Ramona is basically using Destiny to make more money. And there should have been issues that arose from that. Instead, the issues were when the market crashed and when Ramona started to become reckless with what she was doing, or how she was going about drugging men and depleting their credit cards. So it didn't feel real. Unfortunately, Constance Wu's role just was not juicy enough. I don't know if it was not written well or it was the acting. I love her on Fresh Off the Boat, and she was very good in Crazy Rich Asians. But here, just the emotional depth wasn't there. She has a child in the movie, but you don't really feel like this little girl is her life, or they didn't focus the fact that this girl is her little life. It was just like, oh yeah, I had a kid and now I got to support her. I mean, so you don't feel some urgency like, oh gosh, I hope she makes it or she does something to get past this and leave this life. There was no action on her part for a better life. She just whined to Ramona, and Ramona was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to steal from men, blah, blah, blah. So it felt like she didn't make any real decisions. They were made for her, and she never came out of that. It's very annoying that you have a character who's not proactive. And that's why I'm so surprised that it's a woman behind the director's chair who's not really giving us a character to root for, because they are doing something, I don't want to say evil, but they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. It's a criminal act. Not only that, but they're stealing from people and their families, not just these Wall Street guys. Some of them have families. So, at some points you start feeling sorry for the clientele and not so much for the people doing this. Keke Palmer and Lili Reinhart, they were kind of the comic relief. You didn't really get to know them, but Lili Reinhart's character, she was actually funny because she would throw up every time she was stressed. So she was kind of the comic relief, and you sort of like her because she played it innocent. But I just wish they delved more deep into somebody's character, like why they're there. Aside from all the issues, I will say I did like Jennifer Lopez's performance, as far as we've never seen her like that before. She was in a very likable character. We've seen her in the romantic comedies, and I'm actually tired of seeing her in romantic comedies. Or, we're playing with the character with that laughter. And here, she's really cutthroat. And so I don't think we've ever seen her that way. I think it's a good, juicy, gritty role for her. And hopefully she'll do more of that type of roles, because I think it was good to see her in a different type of role. Playing a character who's not always sympathetic. Although I think they intended for her to be sympathetic at some points. So we are talking about a movie about strippers. So I was very surprised the lengths Jennifer Lopez went for this role. She actually did a stripper pole dance, and I was impressed. It looks hard, but she's got the booty to shake, that's for sure. And let's just say the extras were probably very, very happy because she was shaking that thing in people's faces. So let us know if you're up for the Hustlers movie and whether you're going to be checking it out.